This is the plaintiff, Frank DiGiovanni. He says he and his son were hired at $35 an hour by the defendant to get signatures so he could be put on a ballot to run for office in his hometown. He and his son worked tirelessly, canvassing neighborhoods, ringing doorbells, and the unscrupulous defendant has refused to pay them. Well, he won't be taken advantage of by a second-rate politician and is suing him here and now for the $455 he's rightfully owed. This is the defendant, Stephen Maresca. He says he has never even met the plaintiff. The agreement he had was with the plaintiff's son. The plaintiff's son claims he worked 30 hours to get 30 signatures, which is impossible. The kid and his friends didn't do a good job, but he did the right thing and paid him $525 for the work he did. And now the father wants to be paid too? Really? He's accused of conning a kid.
All parties, please raise your right hands.
Welcome back to the People's Court. Next case in the docket, the plaintiff says he and his son were hired by the defendant to get signatures on a petition so the defendant could run for office. But the defendant says the agreement was with the plaintiff's son and the kid did a bad job. It's the case of, if elected, I'll go on the People's Court.
Thank you, Douglas. Frank DiGiovanni, you are suing Stephen Maresca for $455 for payment, $35 an hour for 13 hours, 2 hours a day for 2 weeks, that, according to you, he owes you. Talk to me. What happened?
Well, Your Honor, my son here is into politics.
Okay.
Stephen Maresca hired him to get signatures on a petition, and if he gets enough signatures, he can have his name on a ballot and be the district leader.
That you're referring to Mr. Maresca wanting to get enough signatures. How many signatures do you need in order to be on the ballot?
In this case, it was about 350.
Okay.
So he explained, what to do to my son, and told him, my son agreed, and he says you can get 1 or 2 people to help you and explain to them, what the hourly rate was and what to do. So he gave my son a list of, houses, addresses to go to, and we went to get these signatures. And some people will say, well, who is this Mr. Maresca? And I would say, what he's wants to go for district leader of that district. And
what's district leader?
It's state committee. It's a member of the party state committee. It also has the title of district leader.
What's your job as district leader? Well,
you don't get paid. That's the first thing. You are a member of the party state committee. You recruit candidates. You vote on state, their positions on state issues. You're also a liaison to elected officials.
Okay, go ahead.
I did my best to make him look good, and most of the time it worked, and I got the signatures. And so at the end of the 2-week period, it was time to...
How many signatures did you get?
I didn't count them, but I have...
Oh, that's important. I want to know how many signatures you got. Come on, who's that gentleman? Is that your son?
My son, Vito.
Okay.
Yes. We have all the petitions.
How many signatures did you have?
I believe it was 17 for my father.
17?
17 in about 13
I could get 17
hours.
in my house right now.
Well,
I'm going to hire you, Judge.
you see, in Kings County, to collect Republican signatures is very difficult because most people are Democrats, and a lot of people just don't enter the doors to strangers, so it's very time-consuming.
Especially Republicans. Right.
So it's very hard for,
So you had to get Republican signatures?
Yeah, specifically Republican signatures in this specific district.
Okay.
So it's much more difficult.
Now, what is your name?
My name is Vito DiGiovanni.
All right, and my understanding from your father's complaint is that you actually have a political show?
Yes, I'm very involved in local politics. I have my own radio show. I'm very involved in
What kind of
politics.
radio show?
It's a conservative talk radio. It's syndicated across the country and on the internet.
And what's your show called?
The Vito and Vito Show.
Who's the other Vito?
It's my
Or is it just you repeating things?
My co-host is a longtime friend, also the same name.
Who's also
Yes.
nicknamed Vito?
Coincidence.
All right. Okay, so now, who's the one who actually gets hired by him, you or your father?
Well, all 3 of us. There's also my friend
Did you
included.
ever speak to him?
Yes, we met in his Bay Ridge home, one of his houses, and he agreed to hire me for $35 an hour. And I said, he's all right.
Stop 1 second. Did you ever speak with him?
Is running for politics a noble job?
Not always. Not
Generally.
generally. You can say yes.
Okay, you can say yes. What do you say?
No,
Why? That's sad.
because there's so many lies and so much deception.
Oh, God. It's so sad and true, going inside the courtroom.
When you say we met at his house, who's we?
We, as in Stephen and I.
Oh, got it.
And Stephen agreed.
So he hired you, and then you picked your dad and another friend to help you.
Well, he told him to do so.
Yes, I said, oh, just my father and my friend.
All right, well, when they come to you after 2 weeks and they have 17 signatures, what's your response?
Well, I'm sorry, Your Honor, that's just from me.
Oh,
there
how
were
many
3 of
signatures
us.
total did you get?
We have all the petitions.
Just
the
answer
signatures.
my question.
I believe at least 30 between all 3 of us.
That's about
It's
So
very
apparently your
difficult.
father did the hardest work, okay? So you got 30 signatures, and what did you say to them?
I
To
said-
them, what did you say to him?
Him, yes. I said, this is a very low number of signatures for the amount of hours.
That you claim you worked.
That's correct. So I said, you know, I've had other petitioners that I hired who said they worked 30 hours and they got 75, 80 signatures, 90 signatures. So when he said, this is what we got, and we worked 30 hours, and that was going to come to something like $1,000, I said, I really, you know, if you had come back with a larger number of signatures, I would pay you the full amount that I agreed. When he came back,
What is the full amount you agreed?
$35 an hour.
Right, but what stops somebody from them coming and saying, I worked 1,000,000 hours?
Ah, that's correct.
Well, that's why you don't hire somebody by the hour.
Well, but we are not
you
permitted.
You are not allowed to say, I'll hire you by the signature, because
That's
then it's
correct,
like you're
Your Honor.
buying the signature.
That's correct.
I got it.
Yes.
But, like, you got to cap the hours.
Well, this is the honor system.
Is it?
Yes.
Yeah.
And-
We have a name for people like you. We call them litigants.
Well, that's.
Let me point out that you are here.
Yes,
Okay. So then
exactly.
what
So
happens?
there was no evidence.
Do you end up paying him anything?
Yes, I paid him $525.
Okay. And is that an amount that you folks settled on, or son was still angry?
He was not happy with that amount, but it was an amount that I thought was reasonable.
Okay. But when you paid it, did you tell him this is all I'm paying you?
Yes.
And did you pay him by check or by cash?
Check.
Okay. Did you cash a check?
Yes, I have the receipts and everything.
Okay. Did you put full and final payment on the check?
No, I just said for petitioning.
And then you are not suing, your father's suing.
Yes, because the check was in my name. He gave me a check, but did not pay my father anything. He told me to split all this based on how many signatures we got.
Your
Okay,
Honor,
but yeah.
the agreement I had was with Vito DiGiovanni, and I said, I'm making this agreement with you. I will pay you. If you want to get people to help you,
Right.
as long as they are enrolled Republicans in the state, that's fine
Why,
with
do
me.
they have to be enrolled Republicans?
That's correct. Or a notary.
Okay.
Or a notary.
All right, but now if the agreement is reached with Vito, then how do you, who never met him, how can you come to court to sue on a contract when you have no contract with him? I'm not talking to Vito now, I'm talking to Dad.
It's a verbal contract.
What verbal contract? You never spoke with the guy.
Well, he did tell my son to go
Yeah, but
home.
if I hire a contractor and I say, I need this done by, so if you want to hire a few other people to help you, that's not a contract that those subs have with me. That's a contract that the subs have with the contractor.
But he said that's how much he's paying an hour. He wasn't just
Yeah,
talking
but you
about my
never
son.
got hired by him to be paid. See, you have a problem. The reason you're suing is because he already cashed a check. So you're suing because you haven't been paid any check. So he's not suing because he's accepted the check. He cashed a check, and he's already, kind of squared with him. So you are suing. But you have to come to court in order to sue. You have to have what we call a contract. Contracts can be verbal, but they have to be yours. They can't be someone else's. So you can have a verbal contract, but you have to have what we call privity of contract. That means you're the guy that struck a deal with the guy who you're suing, who you're saying didn't pay you. You don't have that at all.
Well, I'm not a lawyer. I didn't look up laws.
I am.
I know my son. And I appreciate that.
I hope so.
That's why I'm here.
Right.
My son came and explained what Mr. Maresca said, and that he could hire.
That doesn't magically make a contract between you and him. That makes a contract between you and your son. My verdict in this case is for the defendant.
Thank you.
That's fair.
Well, the judge rules that the plaintiff didn't have a contract with the defendant and had no standing to sue him. What's your reaction on this outcome?
Well, my understanding is that when my son left his house or his office, he says, you can hire a couple of people, meaning he's going to pay them. I understand what the judge is saying. I never met the guy.
You had a contract with your son.
Yeah, but the
You gonna
money
sue
was
him?
coming from Mr. Maresca. okay? He said he was going to pay the three of us,
We
and he only
understand.
paid one. He
You're
didn't
going to
say
trash him on the show now?
Well, we'll see about that. But he gave me extra money in the check that, I worked a certain amount of hours. He paid me for more than that to split with my father. But that's not how you do business. You got to
right.
give the man the check. What
right.
do you work for?
All right, head around the corner this way. Good luck. All right, sir, so come on in here, and what's your feeling on this outcome here?
Well, I'm pleased that the outcome was reached. I mean, I feel it was just. I never agreed to pay Frank DiGiovanni directly for anything. I said I would pay his son, and he could split the money however he wished.
What do you expect? How many signatures did you expect?
For the amount of hours that he said he worked, I would have expected certainly in excess of 50, and possibly close to 75 or 80.
What's a signature worth?
It's worth what it takes to get on the ballot. I mean,
Did you get on?
I got on, yes, and my opponent withdrew, and I won.
Harvey?
The bottom line here, there has to be a contract obligating somebody to pay for a service, and here there just wasn't one.